I'm led to believe this is one of the favourite songs of our next guest. He's the head of Queensberry Promotions, the wonderful Frank Warren joins us. Frank, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, chaps. How are you?
All good, all good.
One of my favourites.
You like that? We've got that especially for you. See what we do to make people welcome on the show?
I'll tell you what, you've brightened up my evening.
Oh, how nice is that? Well, you've brightened up ours by coming on the show. We've got lots to talk to you about. We'll talk Arsenal, actually, a bit later on. But let's start, of course, with the world of boxing. We know that the WBA have ordered Oleksandr Usyk to fight Daniel Dubois. What do you... Is this... I mean, obviously, it's a risk for Daniel Dubois. What's the latest on this, firstly, Frank?
Well, they've ordered it, but a unification will come first. And that's what we're working on, which is obviously the fight with Tyson and Usyk. So if the winner of that will have to fight our man, Daniel. Well, obviously Tyson's our man, and you have to fight Daniel.
So how does that work? If a governing body order a fight, you can decide when that fight happens, but it might not if, for argument's sake, Usyk loses.
All the government bodies will basically go for a unification fight, and it'll be the first time, I'm thinking, was it 25 years, whatever it is, that we've had a unification of all the belts in the heavyweight division. So that'll take priority. But what they're saying afterwards, all the fighters who've been, including Joyce, all these guys are either number one or they're interim champions, or in Daniel's case, they're heavyweight champions. They then will have to make their mandatory defences because they've been sitting around waiting for ages for these fights. And they will order those. So those fights will get ordered. So once the unification fight has happened, then obviously they've got to start. The winner's got to start taking care of the mandatories or vacating this particular title. That would be their choice. If we can't get the Usyk fight on, which I doubt very much because I think we will get it on, then obviously Usyk will have to defend his title against Daniel. But I don't think that's going to be a problem with Tyson.
Frank, you said there about he's going to have to fight Daniel, but also we know that the IBF ordered Usyk to fight Filip Hrgović as well. So, I mean, it's all very complicated.
Well, it's not really, because this will take priority over the IBF, because if you, when you look back at what's happened over the last few years, excuse me, with the mandatory defences, all the organisations all agreed that they will have a rotation system. And the next governing body's mandatory defence is not the IBF. In fact, it's the WBA. So that's got the priority.
Also, as well, Frank, can you please explain to me what is the WBA regular crown? What is that belt?
Well, it's a belt. It's a belt. It's a belt that's been around for many, many years. What happens if you get certain fighters, say Joshua, for example, they call them super champions. So instead of having a mandatory defence every 9 months, which is what normally happens with some fighters, if the fighter holds all the belts, for example, then he'll be in a position where they will say that he can make his mandatory defence in 18 months' time. And so whilst that's happening, some organisations, including WBA, they didn't say, right, the number one fights the number two, because otherwise they'll be hanging around for ages trying to get an opportunity to fight for the title, and then they call that guy their WBA regular champion. In their case, in the case of the WBO and Joyce, what they did was have an interim fight, and he's an interim champion, because otherwise they just sit around, sitting on their backside. So it's to keep the heavyweight division busy, keep the fighters busy, and then sort out who are the genuine contenders.
Frank, let me ask you, I know it would never ever happen because there's too much money in the sport, but we've got so many different governing bodies. Would you personally like to see just one? You'd only have one heavyweight champion, one middleweight champion, would you like that?
I would like to see it happen, but you know, with all the champions fighting each other, I mean, it'd be fan. I mean, we have had that in the past, but I'd love to see that happen. In all the divisions, it'd be great, but sometimes it very rarely happens. I think there's too many governing bodies anyway, but you at least got to have two. Otherwise, you get in a position like going back years ago when Charles, for example, was the world champ, which couldn't fight for the world title. I think he waited until he was in his 40s, because it was what happened was they just, back in those days, you could sit around forever. because there was only one governing body.
Mm.
So we need two. We need at least, and I'll get people's frustration. But having said that, it does get exciting when you've got 4 belts on the line and you're going to find out who is the guy.
Have you just had an Amazon delivery?
Sorry?
Have you just had an Amazon delivery? Someone came in. Hello, Frank?
Yeah, they did, actually. At the moment, I'm lying here on a bed in the hospital. I had a back operation.
Oh, my God. I didn't even ask you. Apologies. I didn't know you'd had it yet.
No, that's all right.
How are you? I didn't notice today. Have you had it, Frank?
Yeah, I had it on Monday.
Oh, how are you?
How am I? I'm very sore. It's about the third one I've had in 7 weeks, not the last one. And someone's delivered me just a bottle of champagne, which that's not going to go down too well with the doctors.
Listen, here at talkSPORT, we are happy to buy you champagne. We're glad it arrived while you're on air.
I should have knocked that out tonight after they give me all my tablets.
Frank, you were talking about all the governing bodies. Is there a particular governing body that carries more weight than others? Like WBC, for instance, is the one that I remember the most.
A lot of people do say that. I mean, if you look over the years, I've worked very, very closely with the WBO. Most of the fights I was promoting, like Naz, Kawasaki, most of those guys all fought and won WBO titles, and then went on and fought for other belts. I like working with them because I get on very well with them, and I think they're pretty straight up. There's you don't get any nonsense with them. WBC we've been working with, as you know, with Tyson and other fighters in the past. We've also with the WBA now because of Daniel and a couple of our other fighters. We do stuff with the IBF now and then, but for me, I've got to look for the opportunity for the fighter. So if I feel there's a fighter, a champion, that a guy I've got beat, it's irrelevant what governing body he's with. I will try and make that fight. Because my job is to get the guys into a position to fight and win titles, and more importantly, defend them.
Frank, let me get your view on the Conor Benn scenario. The latest is that he has come out and said his team have proved, not will, I'm quoting here, have proved his innocence and the truth will come out soon. Do you know any more about this story than that?
No, I don't. I don't know what it is. The only way the truth can come out is for the UCAD, who asked for his samples and so forth, say that they've had the samples and obviously tested the A sample with the American with viral situation. That's how it's come about, and that the B samples get also get sorted out. And I'm not sure, and only they can say whether they submit the B samples, and it's not for one test; it's for 2 tests.
Frank, have you ever seen a situation like this before?
No, I don't. I think there's a lot of information keeps coming out, and I think there's been a lot of smoke screens. I think there's been a lot of crap gone on about one day, day of the fight or day before the fight when this all come out, they were going to sue the governing body for not letting him fight. Then they made the right decision. It's every day you hear a different story. The only way that this comes out is that there has to be transparency in drug testing in boxing, and in that way you then find out and you're going to know who is the what's true and what's not. And the border control can deal with that. All they need to do is one thing, and that's to put it into their regulations that any boxer who tests positive with any bona fide drug organisation has to then give that sample to UCAD, and then UCAD call a hearing. It's really simple. And if you want to be licensed, then that's the only way you're going to get licensed by the border control.
Okay. Listen, your nurse has just texted us saying one more question to Frank. He needs his rest. So my last question to you is about Wayne Rooney. Apparently he's going to be sparring with Tyson Fury. Is that just absolute madness? Please tell me it is.
No, I got no idea. I see Wayne at the fight. I mean, I used to look after one of his family. Who was a boxer, but no, I think they'll have a bit of fun. You know what Tyson is? He likes a bit of fun, and I think Wayne Rooney's the same. So they'll who knows what they're going to do to pair of them.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, we wish you better. I thought your operation was either later today or tomorrow. I had no idea you'd had it. So even more, thank you so much for coming on. Rest up.
No, it's a pleasure. I'm bored out of my brains.
Oh, okay. All right, well, take it as we're doing you the favour then. Or you're doing us, either way. But listen, rest up, get well soon. And again, thank you so much for coming on, Frank. A real pleasure.
It's a pleasure. You look after yourself.
Thanks, man.
Cheers, Frank.
You too. How nice is that? Frank Warren, head of Queensbury Promotions.
Yeah.
From his hospital bed.
I love that.
That's great. That's dedication. We love Frank.